Hey y'all, welcome back to our very bookish channel. My name's Amanda, and my friend Jen and I both love to read and share our joy of reading with you guys. So we have all the bookish content for y'all on this channel. And in today's video, we are going to be reading books that we have selected from our list of books that we have featured in our most anticipated videos.
I feel like that sounds more complicated than it actually is.
So in this video, this is the first one where we're picking two because we feel like we're not reading enough books from this list. So we usually just do one book, but in this book, we're picking two. And in our September TBR video, I made my selections, and the books that I pulled from the jar was The Gods Below by Andrea Stewart and Society of Lies. So those are the two books I'm gonna be reading for this video.
Hey guys, I am starting my most anticipated reads picked from my TBR jar. If you guys hadn't seen our September TBR video, I had picked, and I asked Amanda, please can we pick two from our TBR jar because I just want to read down on some that I've been wanting to read. And it's always hard because there's so many coming out that a lot of them end up getting pushed and sometimes forgotten, unfortunately. I had chosen out of the TBR jar The Guest by B.A. Paris and Curse of the Nautilus by Raylan Kimmy. And this one in particular was hard for me to get. I don't even know, I can't remember where I heard about this book for me to even go over in a most anticipated video, because I tried going to Barnes & Noble and a couple bookstores, could not find this, was not in the library. It wasn't even an audio on Spotify. And I don't know if you guys know, I don't remember if I ever mentioned that Spotify, you get 15 hours for free each month to listen to an audiobook. I say for free, but it's in the premium. You pay, I want to say $10 a month for that. Nowhere. I could not find this anywhere except the place I don't like to buy things, which is Amazon. I did purchase it through Amazon, and at first I didn't even think I was going to get it because they lost my package at first, and it took about 2 weeks to get to me, but thankfully I got it. I'm not going to start with this one though. I am going to start with The Guest, B.A. Paris. If you had seen our most anticipated, and I should have looked to see which one this was in, I can just put it on the screen after I find out which one it was in. But when I was going over this, I was on the fence with if I should leave it on my most anticipated, because I have read one B.A. Paris book, and it's called Bring You Back, again on the screen. And I was not a fan of it. I looked to see what I rated it. I read it several years ago. It was like 2017-ish. And I only gave it 2 stars. There were a lot of things I remember not liking about that book. It was pacing. It just seemed like an odd way to go about the plot and I honestly don't even remember everything. I just remember that part of the plot had nesting dolls in it. And I don't know. It was just I did not enjoy that book. I felt like I should give B.A. Paris another chance because B.A. Paris is known for having great thrillers. I see people talk about B.A. Paris all the time. I think the one that people talk about the most is called Behind Closed Doors, and I do own it and haven't read it yet. And I probably should read that one since that seems to be the one everyone likes. But this is the latest one. I ended up talking about it just because it was coming out in the month that we were doing a most anticipated. And I thought, I've always thought I should give B.A. Paris another chance. So this is the one I'm giving B.A. Paris another chance. We shall see what happens, but I'm off today. I have a lot of time to read. I don't have too many errands around the house to do. I should be able to get a chunk read today, which will be good. And after this one, I'm going to be moving on to Curse of the Nautilus But I'm in the mood. I'm not always in the mood for coffee, but I'm in a mood to make some coffee. So I'm gonna go make myself a cup and then get to reading. Sometimes I just like to have a cup every now and again. I don't drink it that often, but the one that I love to, is my favorite, is Cafe Bustelo, and it's the con leche. So I'm going to read some and have a cup of coffee and enjoy my day off. I'm sure you guys always have your favorite mug. This, for some reason, I love this mug. I think just because it's pink, but I got it when me and my friends had gone to Austin. It's the one, it's my go-to.
Hey y'all, how you doing? I am about to run into Walmart, and I was thinking on my drive over here, I'm just feeling so slumpy. Like, I'm not in a reading slump per se, but I'm starting to feel slumpy, and it's not even that I haven't had good books, but I was just thinking to myself, I haven't had a 5-star read in a really, really long time. I don't know how long. It has to have been a couple of months. And I feel like I'm starting to get in a slump because of that. Like, the first half of the year, let's say, I had like probably, I don't know, 7 to 10 5-star reads, if I'm remembering correctly. And now it's just like I'm getting some good 4-star reads and even some decent 3-star reads, but it's just not hitting like it should. I'm just not like just so like amazed by a book and enthralled with the writing and just obsessed with a book, or like feel like, you know, I finish a book and like, oh wow, that book was perfect, I loved it. I haven't had that feeling for a while. So I was thinking what I need to do is maybe go book shopping. You know, just a little bit of retail therapy. And yes, it's only a Walmart, but I know that today The Games Gods Play is releasing. I have read the arc of that book. I got the arc on Edelweiss, and Jen's also reading it, and I really liked that book. It wasn't 5 stars, but I do want to own it, so I think I'm gonna look for that in here in Walmart. If they don't have it, maybe I will run over to the Books A Million that's close by inside a mall here and see what they've got. But yeah, I just thought, you know, let's just do a little impromptu book shopping, and of course I'll bring y'all along with me. All right, y'all, that was a bust. There had no books. Sometimes Walmart surprises me. Like, this Walmart still had the Sprayed Edges edition of Iron Flame. So they'll surprise you sometimes with books that you didn't know you could get, or they'll have like older editions of things. But yeah, there was just nothing, and I already have copies of Iron Flame with the Sprayed Edges. So moving on, I have a few more errands to run today, but we'll see if I have time to run to the Books A Million up the street in the mall and look for The Games God Plays, and then maybe browse for some other books. You know what, actually, Jen and I are doing our September secret reading vlog, and our theme for that month is pick a book by the cover. So maybe if I have time, I'll go and film myself picking a book by the cover for that vlog. So yeah, that's what I'll do if I have time. We'll see. I still have a few more errands to run and things to do today, but hopefully I'll have time to do that, because I'm just feeling slumpy and I need something to kickstart me, get me back into the groove. I really need to find a 5-star read.
Grogu's back. Here's an update 100 pages in, and it's not looking good for my second BA Paris book. I feel like it's going very, very slow. It's not drawing me in so much. I am tempted to DNF it, but I think I have enough curiosity as to exactly what is going on to continue reading. And when I say what is going on, there hasn't been much that has happened, and it's making me wonder what is going to happen to change that. It can't go the whole book like that. The premise, just so you guys know, is there's a couple, they're returning from like a holiday, and when they get home, one of their friends is in their place, in their house, and her name's Lore, and the couple is Gabrielle and Iris. And Lore, the woman who is just at their house unannounced, tells them how her and her husband they're like kind of separated. I don't think it's like an official separation, but they had an argument because he found out he's the father of a child that is now older, and he just found out. And you get more and more of this story, but that's all you really know. And most of the book is about Iris being irritated that Laura is there uninvited and taking up their time, and she seems kind of clingy. Gabriel, who is the husband, is going through a hard time because he's kind of retired or taking time off work. He ended up coming upon this younger teenager who had fallen into a ravine, and he was there when this guy had died, when this teenager had died. And so there's some things going on with him, but I don't know how any of that is going to all come together. And I'm sure it even sounds weird because I feel like some of these storylines just sound kind of odd. So I am going to take a break, but I may read some later, and I will give you guys an update as to if anything else has occurred.
All right, y'all, just got to the mall, and I'm gonna go in here, pick up the games Gods Play, and do a little impromptu shopping. I have decided I'm gonna film this for our September secret TBR pick vlog where we are choosing a book by a cover. So wait for that video to come out and you will see what books I purchased, but I will let you know in this vlog if I purchase the games Gods Play. All right, y'all, I'm back. I did get my copy of the games Gods Play, and it is the first book of a series, so I had to get my copy of this with anticipation of the second book coming out because I don't know if I'll be able to get the arc of the second book, plus I just like owning the physical copy. And of course, I picked my pick a book by its cover. I am going to reveal that book in our September secret TBR pick vlog, so keep your eye out for that vlog that's coming soon if you want to know what other book I purchased today.
I am 200 pages in, and at about page, I don't know, it was like 150, 160, I feel things picked up, and there's actually things to get invested in, but that took a while, and I still feel like the pacing is very, very slow. I feel as soon as I find something that I'm like, oh, this might get good, it kind of still is slow and not picking up at all. It's just kind of giving you information and then slowly talking about it or something. It's hard to describe, but I just feel the pacing is very, very slow. I am invested now, so I am not DNFing it because I definitely want to know what's going on. I feel I've been presented information, and maybe the slow pace is for a reason. I don't know. But it's not a very long book. I am over 200 pages now, and I think it's just over 300. I feel I'm going to be able to get through this tonight, so I'll let you guys know what I think. If something shocking happens before that, I'll let you know. Okay, that ending was kind of crazy. I have many thoughts about it because I feel like and I have a feeling this is going to be treated as a spoiler, but I feel like you are kind of deceived and you can't really guess because how you read the book, I almost feel like you were lied to. But the best part of this book was the ending. The ending was shocking, and everything is laid out so you know how everything happened, but I also feel very lied to for the first part of the book. And I feel almost as if, I don't know, people might DNF this because it's so slow in the beginning, but that ending was, I feel like that ending was pretty satisfying. I was shocked at that ending. Yeah, that was kind of crazy. It was definitely better than my other B.A. Paris book, but the ending was pretty much why. So, I don't know. I might have more thoughts when I go over both at the end. I might talk about both in like a final thoughts video, but I am going to go on to my second most anticipated read, which is not near me right now, but I'm going to go grab it and I'm going to start.
Hey guys, reading update. I am about 35% into this book. That is a significant amount. This book, if you look at the printed version of this book on Goodreads, it's 525 or 26, something like that, 520-ish pages. So 35% is over probably like 150 pages. No, yes, over 150 pages. And I'm gonna have to DNF the book. I am not really having a good time with this book. There are multiple factors I feel that are unnecessarily complicating the book. I love the idea of this book. I think this is a super creative and inventive concept. I just feel like it's, like I said, unnecessarily complicated. You have a magic system that I don't feel like the author has very well explained. And I have a really lot better grip on it now than in the beginning because I pushed through the beginning, but I still don't feel like you have a really good idea of how the magic works. It's like magic is just everywhere in this world and you can just kind of pull it from stones, but it's also in this layer of the earth, and it's also in the gods, and it's also in these half god beings. It's just everywhere. I feel like it's very messy. The other thing is the names of all the characters are all very different. I mean, she has created a whole new world, and usually if a couple of characters have kind of different names, it's fine. You can you recognize those characters and can go through the book fine. But when every character has like a name you don't know how to pronounce or say or imagine in your head, it kind of complicates things. And some characters that have similar names, I feel like when I'm just reading and trying to get through the book, I have to stop and think, okay, this is this character, this is this character, and it's just slowing down my reading process and making it not fun. The third thing is that there are multiple point of views, and that just overly complicating things as well. I feel like I don't particularly like multiple point of view books. I think 2 or 3 is fine. I think 2 or 3 is easy to follow and you can progress in the book fairly quickly while reading and switching back and forth from point of views. But I have read at least 5, maybe 6 point of views so far in the book that I can think of off the top of my head. And it's just unnecessarily complicating things. I think in this book you need 3 point of views. You need the 2 sisters and 1 more point of view. And I'm not spoiling anything, so I don't want to talk about the third person point of view, but you could get those 3 point of views and have a total understanding of what's going on in the book. So it's just, if it was one of those things, if it was just getting past the names, I could do that. If it was just maybe reading deeper and learning more about this magical system, I could do that. If it was just that there was multiple point of views, I could probably push back that. But all 3 of these combining together is just making the book not very fun for me and not very fun to follow and get through. So I am DNFing. It's hard for me to DNF books, but I did say going into this year in our bookish resolution video that I want to get better and more comfortable with DNFing books and moving on, because there's so many good books that I want to read. So I'm gonna have to do that. I'm sorry. If you have read this book and liked it, please let me know. Like, am I am I just overthinking things, possibly because I'm feeling slumpy and maybe this isn't a good book for me at this time? Maybe I could just soft DNF it and come back later. I don't know, but I just feel like the longer that I DNF this book and don't read it, I lose interest in it and don't want to keep reading it. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm DNFing this book. Fortunately, though, that gives me the opportunity to move into my next book, which I picked Society of Lies. And that is a thriller. I feel like that book is going to be fast-paced. I feel like that book has to do with secret societies in a college setting, which I think is fun for me. And I'm going to just move on and start reading that book. And hopefully that book will get me out of this little slumpy feeling that I'm feeling, and this book will be more fun. So let's just get into reading Society of Lies. Okay, so Society of Lies is through NetGalley, not Edelweiss. The God's Blow is through Edelweiss. Society of Lies I have through NetGalley, and I love when I get books through NetGalley because you can send them straight to the Kindle app and they just work perfectly. It's much more smoother process than Edelweiss's reader that they have through their website. But this is the beginning. This is the cover of Society of Lies by Lauren Ling Brown. I don't think I mentioned the author just a few minutes ago. So we are going to get into this one, and hopefully this nice change of pace will get me out of my little slump. So starting right here with the prologue. Here we go.
Have been reading, I'm not even that far, I'm only like 30-40 pages in Curse of the Nautilus, and I am just not in the mood to read this. It's just not hitting me where I feel interested at all in this story. So I am going to put this one down. Maybe at a future time I will pick it back up, but I'm going to pick another out of my TBR jar, since we're doing 2 for this one, and see what I get. One second. I have my trusty, most anticipated TBR jar. I just feel that, I'm gonna give it a shake. I just feel like recently there are a couple books that I give books a lot of time, and I just didn't want to give that one another 50 to 100 pages. It is over 400 pages, and I just don't, I feel like life is too short to keep pushing yourself through books that you don't really want to read. I'll pick one that I might like better. If you haven't seen our TBR jar, I have these wrapped around little books. Titles that we have gone over during our most anticipated videos that we do. Oh my God, this was the one I had picked for Amanda that she didn't end up choosing. We had a secret read where each of us had, it was really elaborate. It's probably too much to try and describe it, but Wren in the Library by K.A. Lindy. So I don't own that one. I am either going to purchase it or get it at the library, but hopefully this one will go a little better than the one that I just attempted. Stay tuned. I ended up buying the Wren and the Holly Library because it is just gorgeous. You have the sprayed edges, which is awesome. And then you have end papers, but also look how gorgeous the actual hardcover is. And this is Kiers, also has a nickname of Wren. And then on the inside, there's also some illustrations, not a lot. It has stuff like this in it, which I can always appreciate in books. I like when books do that. And then I love the dedication to the girls who fell for the library before the beast, which I thought was fantastic. I am 50 pages in, and I'm definitely more sucked in than I was for Curse of the Nautilus, which I might end up being in the mood for that. I'm not completely writing it off my list. It just wasn't hitting me when I had picked it up and started reading. I just wasn't interested. I wasn't in the mood. I am a mood reader. This one so far is making me laugh a little bit because it's another thief, which I just read Games Gods Play, and of course she was a thief in there, but you didn't really see too much. She didn't do anything actively. You just kind of were told that she was a thief, and so far you actually are introduced almost to her very early on trying to steal something, and gets into a very compromising position with what you don't know so far what Graves is. So I am liking it so far. It has monsters in this, and if you guys watch our channel, you know that I'm a fan of supernatural, so it's already speaking to a language that I am used to. So I will give you an update in 100 pages or 150 pages and let you guys know how it's going.
Hey y'all, I have a reading update for you guys. I am on chapter 8, which is about 12% into the book, so not very far, but my first impression of the book is overall good. I'm enjoying the story so far. I am interested in figuring out what has happened and invested in the story of the book. You're following two sisters, Maya and Naomi. Maya is the older sister, and she went to Princeton and has graduated and has a family now. Her life's kind of settled. Her younger sister, Maya, has gone to Princeton and is a couple of days away from graduating when she's found dead in the lake on campus. So Maya is trying to figure out what happened to Naomi, what happened with her death. Maya knows that Naomi was in some secret clubs. They are called eating clubs at Princeton, and let me know if you all have been to Princeton or live around Princeton or know anything about it. Let me know, is this true in real life, or is this just something for the book? But Princeton does not call fraternities and sororities. They don't, the social clubs aren't called fraternities and sororities. They're called eating clubs. And I don't know, I think that maybe the people that run the college think that sounds better or something. Maybe it gives a little something different to Princeton. I don't know, but I'm curious if that's true in real life. Anyways, she was in this eating club, and she ends up dead. And I think that the sister, Maya, the older sister, is suspecting that this club is responsible because of her past experiences as a student with weird, when she was a student, someone that she knew also ended up dead, and I think she suspects the club in that death as well. So I'm not really sure. I'm not too far into the book, so it's kind of early to say, but that's just kind of where my mind is going right now with the book. My one complaint about the book, though, is that it's jumping back and forth in the timeline a lot, and I don't like that. I know that that is a very, very popular way of pacing your book, writing your book for authors, especially thriller authors. I get it. It's a good way to piece together information and set up twist. I know, but I just don't like it. In this book, you start out present day from Maya's point of view, and she discovers Naomi's dead, and then you jump back to, I think, 9 or 7 months in Naomi's point of view before her death, and then you jump to present day in Maya's point of view, and then you jump back to like 2010 from Maya's point of view, and then you jump to like 9 months or 7 months before Naomi's death. I don't know. There's just a lot of jumping around in the timeline, and that drives me nuts a little bit because it just disrupts my flow of reading. I like to read seamlessly, chapter to chapter to chapter, and when I have to stop and reset my mind to, okay, this is 2010, this is before everything happened, this is Maya's point of view when she was in college, and that's the other thing. It's kind of hard, when you're jumping back and forth between between one sister's point of view in college to another sister's point of view in college. It's kind of easy to get the characters in the different settings like intertwined or confused, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, that's my only gripe about the book so far. I'm going to keep reading, of course, because I do want to know what's going on. I am invested in the book and want to figure out what's going on and get more information. It's just kind of like annoying me that you're constantly time jumping throughout this book. So we'll see. I'm going to keep reading. I'm actually going to go to my library to do a little bit more reading because it's just easier to focus at the library. I don't have all the distractions with, you know, my dogs, the TV, the things I need to do around the house that I'm putting off by reading. So I am going to go to the library and try to focus and get some more reading done.
I am 150 pages in and I feel kind of stupid because I'm finally seeing the parallels to Beauty and the Beast, even though there was the quote at the very beginning of this. But for some reason, I didn't think that there would necessarily be a love story between Graves and Kiers, and he calls her Ren. But there's definitely some love interest going on. And it was a very interesting scene that I just stopped reading at, and I'm curious to see what happens next. But I am also seeing parallels to the games gods play because of how Hades was with, and I'm forgetting her name right now, with the main character in that one. So it's just, I think because I've read them close together that I'm seeing a lot of parallels. I do want to keep going and see what happens, so I will give you an update, maybe around 200, 300 pages. I am up to The Oak and the Holly King, part 4, which I will be reading very shortly. And so far, still really liking it, but it is reminding me so much of Games Gods Play. And I don't think one is trying to copy the other because they would have been written about the same time. Games Gods Play has been out for a little while, and I think this one, they're pretty close in publication date. I just think I'm seeing parallels because I really liked Games Gods Play, but something just happened with Kiers that feels very similar to something that happened in Games Gods Play. I don't know if it's going to keep having parallels or if this one's going to start to stand out on its own for something that is upcoming. I don't know, but I'll let you guys know. So I will check back in soon. I am up to part 6, which is Winter Solstice, and I only have, I think it's 100 pages left. I feel the ending is dragging out. Like there's almost like multiple endings happening. I don't know because it's not a long book. Sometimes I wonder when something like this happens I don't know if it's a pacing issue, but I also wonder how I would do because some fantasy books out there are like 600, 800 pages. And I feel I would probably suffer unless it's paced really well. I'm not sure. Those that read fantasy books, I think Amanda reads some. I don't know if she reads in the upwards of 600 to 800 pages. But is that what happens? Is it just paced well? Is it maybe just this isn't paced well? I don't know. They're trying to have a lot of action towards the end. But I feel there's so many different characters too. Like there's the druids and there are a couple different heads of different gangs that are like almost like rival gangs. The rival gangs, you're meeting all these different people and it's like you also find out that it's like exes of Graves and Kiers. So you have a lot of things going on and I feel like it's a lot of information and things keep happening and it's just like, it's not, to me, a book that steadily goes up. I feel like it's going up and down, up and down. I do think it's probably a pacing issue and I'm not really enjoying the way the ending is happening. But I have 100 more pages. It may redeem itself. Who knows? I will probably just read till the end and then come back for final thoughts.
All right, guys. I have an update for y'all. I just spent about 2.5 hours in the library reading this book. I am 35% into the book on chapter 23, which we're starting with Maya's perspective, and it's jumping back again to November 2011 when Maya was in college. And I could care less about this book now. I just am hating this book. I'm sorry. I have to DNF this book too. I'm sorry. I know this is not making a good vlog for y'all, but I cannot force myself to keep reading this book. It is, one, it's not interesting to me anymore. There's just so much stuff in here that is just completely irrelevant to the story. I mean, there was like, I don't know, one scene where this girl plays a prank on a guy, like a football player or something. It was, I don't know. I thought it was silly. I thought it was completely waste of a chapter in a book. And it's hard. This book, it is very hard. I know that I don't like to jump back and forth between chapters and points of views very quickly. That's something that irks me. But it's legitimately hard sometimes to remember whose point of view I'm reading, because the sisters are so similar and they're both taking place in the same college, with similar experiences with these secret societies, and it's just too similar. It's really hard to remember whose point of view you're reading back in college, jumping back and forth so quickly and jumping back and forth in the timeline. It's just, I can't make myself read anymore. I normally would try to pull through, especially since I feel bad for DNFing my previous book, but I've been slumpy, y'all. I have been in a little bit of a slump. I, prior to starting this vlog, had just read a book that I really enjoyed, and it started pulling me out of the slump. So I have to DNF. I don't want to keep pushing myself and put myself in a bigger reading slump. I'm just going to bite the bullet, DNF this book. I'm really sorry. Maybe the next vlog I will have a book that I actually complete for y'all. But final thoughts, I guess I'll wrap it up real quick with some final thoughts coming up regarding both books. And again, I'm sorry.
Final thoughts. All right, time to wrap up this most anticipated picking from a TBR jar video. I originally picked both Curse of the Nautilus and The Guest by B.A. Paris. And as you saw, I wasn't feeling in the mood for this one. I picked again and got this gorgeous specimen, The Wren and the Holly Library by K.A. Lindy. I forgot to look up if that's how you say her name, so I apologize if I'm mispronouncing it. Final thoughts, because I didn't finish in the previous video yet with The Wren and the Holly Library. I feel I was not liking it as much because I had recently read The Games Gods Play, and it just had some similarities. It wasn't crazy similar, it was just some similar elements, so I almost feel like I had already read this type of book, and I feel like I wasn't enjoying it as much for itself because of that. I did enjoy it. I ended up feeling like it was like a 3.5 stars for me. The last like quarter of the book and the ending, I feel fell a little flat, and again, I'm not going to keep saying Games Gods Play, but I feel that ending in Games Gods Play was, you know how I am, or how I feel a lot of people are with twists. That ending was just like huge. It was something that got your attention and you are really wanting to get the next book. This one did not end like that, and I'm not even sure if there is going to be a next book. It was kind of muted, and I did like the characters. I did like the story of Kirsten Graves, but I feel like it went to like this crescendo between them, and again kind of fell flat because of some of the things that were happening. And there were some fantastical elements happening beyond just them as, I wouldn't say people, I don't even know if I'd say monsters for what they are. And there was a whole other storyline. I feel like she was almost trying to do too much with this book. And what's funny is it's not even that long. I think it's just under 400 pages. It wasn't definitely not a solid 4 or 5. I would say like a 3.5 star read. I still enjoyed reading it, but it just didn't grab me. So of the two, I like this one better than this one though, because this one was so incredibly slow. And even though this one had a big pow ending, it was just kind of shocking, and I feel made up for some of that really slow beginning of a story. I mean, this one was really slow. If you want slow burn and you really are just expecting that from a thriller and you're just reading and getting information and nothing's really happening that much, you would love this one. It was hard. I don't feel like it was capturing my interest. I almost put this one down. But I would say of the two, this one definitely won. I like this one better. Those were my most anticipated, and so I got 2 more out of the jar that at least I crossed off my list of wanting to read. And we will be picking again, not next month, but in November. Next month, we will be doing a most anticipated for November and December to close out the year, and I can't believe that's already happening.
Hey guys, welcome to my final thoughts. This section is probably not necessary. As you guys saw, I DNF'd my books. I think I did a fairly good job of explaining why. When I first picked these 2 books out of the TBR jar, I was so excited because I was really anticipating these books. I had a really cool fantasy by a well-known and well-liked author, and I had a thriller by a new author that I just love the fast-paced, thrilling, grippy thriller books. I was so excited to read. Both books were perfect for my mood, for the fall season and the cooler weather and just the moodiness of fall, setting the magical atmosphere. I was just so excited to get into these books, but they fell flat. I mean, the bottom line is I don't DNF books a whole lot. It's hard for me to DNF books. I have been DNFing books more this year, and I am getting better at letting go and DNFing the books. So I am working on that, and it is something that I want to get better at because I hate wasting my time finishing books or reading books that are gonna make me not feel good or not have fun or discourage me from reading. Like, oh, what's the point of even reading that? So I DNF'd both these books for kind of the same reason. They were just very hard to get into and for me to like. The first book, The Gods Below, was just overly complicated. I've already talked about this. There were too many POV characters, too many different elements to try to remember and can take in, you know, from, and I know you're building a whole new fantasy world, but when the world is way different, the magic isn't very well explained, the character names are hard to follow, you're switching point of views between multiple characters that you are having a hard time following. It just got too much, too cumbersome. It was just too far out there for me to be able to really sit down and just enjoy reading and comfortably read the book and take in what was going on. I love the idea, and I do like the world that was creative of what I understood of it. I just wish it was just better laid out, okay? For Society of Lies, that book felt very repetitive. It was hard to get into because you only have 2 point of views, which is fine, but they're sisters and they're very similar, and you're following both of their timelines in college. So it's really easy to kind of just get lost in the story and forget who you're following. I don't know a better way to say that. I just had to constantly re-reminding myself who I was following. Okay, yeah. Okay, Maya's the older sister. Okay, Naomi's the younger sister that gets killed. You know, I kept having to try to like keep it straight in my head. And if the book was very interesting or it kept me gripped and interested, then I probably would have, finished the book out to, get the ending. But The beginning was pretty good, where you're kind of learning these two characters, and you find the older sister finds out the younger sister, has been killed or died. They don't say. I haven't got to the part where it's killed, but I mean, obviously, I think the book is going there, where the younger sister died. But then it got into just like, I don't know, I guess college drama stuff. Like, it just got into a bunch of nothing. Just, you're following these two girls at a college. It just seemed, but different time frames, but similar girls with similar friends. I just got really uninterested really quick, and then combining that with the extra labor of trying to keep track of which girl the author's talking about, it just didn't work for me. I had to DNF it. I don't really regret DNFing any of the books. I don't think I'm going to pick the books back up. I have no interest in picking the books back up, especially Society of Lies. For a thriller, it was not thrilling. I'm just saying, as someone that reads thrillers, I can't imagine there's a twist big enough to keep me interested in that book. That's it. That is my little, I don't know if you want to call it a rant. I'm not really trying to rant or put these books down or discourage anyone from trying the books. If the book seemed interesting to you, I would say pick it up. Maybe you'll have a very different experience than I did. I'm just letting you know my opinions and my feelings and why I DNF the book. And let me know if you guys agree. I feel bad that I DNF'd books for this vlog, but at the same time, this is real life and my real experience with these books, and I hope you enjoyed hearing my opinions, and I really hope that Jen had a much better time reading her books. I think she did, because she sent me over her video, her rough edit video, and her thumbnail, and she had 3 books, and one of the books that was in her thumbnail I really want to read, The Wren and the Holly Library. I've heard really good things about it. A little jealous that she got that one and I didn't, but I'm really anxious to see what Jen got to read, and hopefully she had a much better time than I did.
Thank you as you watched us read all of these reads, because it would be 4 total. And we appreciate you making it this far if you have. Stay tuned for more most anticipated next month, and until next time.